Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Okay, we saw the Shastra saying that Yam Adhyasam Puruskritya Sarve Pramana Prame Vyavaharaha. That is what we saw last time. In fact, that para and the next para together, okay, next para meaning that we are going to do is often called Pramana Bhashya. Subheading in Adhyasa Bhashya, okay, a subheading of Pramana Bhashya. It's called like that because it's giving some fundamental information on how a pramana can work. Now he made avidyavan purushaha. Adhyasa is the basis for pramana. That is being further explained in this section. Okay, in this section. Okay. Because this is the argument. Okay. If there is a person with some defect, okay, some delusions, mental health issues, do you think he will get proper knowledge of the world? Like I volunteered in one of these medical institutions. So I came across a guy standing under a tree and saying, "Listen to me. I am the messenger of God speaking. You all better do exactly as I say." And suddenly a new voice was heard. "This is God speaking. I have not sent that guy down there." Why, there is another character on the tree. So, do you think these people's knowledge of the world will be true? No. Then, if you are saying the pramata is adhyasta, how do you expect correct knowledge out of them? That means there should be nothing like true knowledge, no?
See, you're rejoined.
Huh? So he comes to that answer. What is the entity that is gaining knowledge? Is it I awareness? One option. Is it only the mind? Or is it a mixture of body and of mind and Atma? Fourth option, or is the pramata the intrinsic nature of the Atma? Correct me? These four options are there. Now, one argument is pramata is sakshi vetyam, therefore not Atma. At the same time, let us look at it a bit more. For any knowledge to happen, there has to be a mental modification. Otherwise, what will be the difference between knowledge of pen and knowledge of phone? What will be the difference between the two? Knowledge of pen and knowledge of phone? There won't be any difference. Both are the same knowledge. But the difference is that there is some modification happening for knowledge. Atma cannot modify. Nityatvat, avyayatvat. There is a lot of arguments for it. Unconditioned by time and space, being nitya, etc. It cannot undergo any modification. Therefore, Atma cannot become the pramata by itself. Then you will have to say mind. But for mind to be the pramata, itself is jadam, made by the subtle aspect of Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi. Tanmatras. Therefore, jadam. Therefore, mind is jadam. Therefore, if mind is jadam, by itself it cannot know. Then what can know? Some sort of association between mind and Atma that makes the mind sentient. And we have seen before that there can be, logically, there can be no sambandha possible between mind and Atma except Adhyasa, Anubhavatvad. Because we have the Anubhava that my mind is sentient. So now we will have to prove this, when this Adhyasa is there between mind and Atma, Vyavahara is there. Yatra yat adhyasaha tatra vyavahara sambhavati. Vyatirekena yatra adhyasaha nasti tatra vyavahara api nasti. Anvaya Vyatireka, we have to prove that. I mean, right now we have been taking it as yaha hota hai. It's not proved. Okay. By Anvaya Vyatireka, by a form of logic, it has to be proved. Yeah, it has to be proved. Sakshi Vedyam is one part of it. Many of us don't know which Sakshi Vedyam. Many of us take it as granted. The Shastra may be clear, the Guru may be clear, but most of us take it as granted. I know things, I am an over. Main hu na. I know things. Therefore, in the first line, second line actually, he introduces a question and gives a Vyatireka example. He doesn't give the Anvaya example because Anvaya is known to everyone. Okay, very beautifully said, you know. Bhashyakara is brief, doesn't elaborate. Elaboration is left for the gurus to do. Lo karne do. They'll ensure that the gurus are sampradayavits. Okay. No, when you all are learning, this is one thing. I had to speak to some of my batchmates also on this. When you hear an explanation, what is the pramana for that explanation?
Shastra pramana.
The Shastra pramana is explained in the explanation. So, for the explanation, will there be a pramana? You only have to see whether the explanation is in harmony with the Shastra or not. Does it make sense? Is it logical? And is it in harmony with the Shastra? Because the academic approach is, like for example, Pujya Swamiji talks about Karma Yoga as Prasada Buddhi, Ishwararpana Buddhi. Pramana kidhar hai? Where is the pramana for it? Does the Gita anywhere says Prasada Buddhi, Ishwararpana Buddhi? Directly bolta, these two terms, is it used? No, not used.
So then pramana will be Guru's words.
Pramana is the source book. When you say what is a pramana, you are looking into the source book for it. So, can you say this is Pujya Swami Dayananji's contribution to Vedanta literature? That means before him there was no Ishvara Arpana Buddhi or Prasada Buddhi. ये क्या बात है? This is the academic approach. If it is not written down somewhere, it is not there. Very wrong. When you come to in physics, you can take it like that, not a problem. But what if you find that those principles were written thousands of years ago? Gravity was written 1,000 years ago before Newton in some obscure text, in some language which is not known in the Western world. What will happen then? Will you say it is Newton's law of gravity still? Yeah, of course, we are Westerners, we will take it like that only. Nyaya Shastra mentions it, clarifies it. Later on, even it talks in terms of measurement, etc. If the same thing was done after Newton, they would have said that we copied it. But because they have said it, they won't say they have copied it here. Anyway, that apart. The idea is if you are looking for this thing, it will be problematic. But you can show sources. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi yasya pujayate. That statement is there. Udhar se Swamiji has developed it. Mai sarvana karmani sanyasya. He's talking to a grahastha householder, why sannyasa, etc. He's not talking about literal sannyasa. Karmani sannyasya, manasa sannyasya, jnanena sannyasya, etc. He's talking about. Therefore you understand it is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. Contextually you have to look at it. Where the term evolved from. You can't say the term has to be you have a use somewhere. So either it will become dismissive, or if you say nay, this is pure contribution, you will almost make it like cultism. Both are problematic. Or you will take Vedanta as an evolving school of thought. There are times when I have used paradigms and I thought, have I really created a modern paradigm? I said, no, I don't think so. Then I will think, kidhar se mila rahega ye? I'll go and look into the Shastra here, one or two places where I think it could have been there, and I find, the seed is there. I only developed it. That much you can do. Seed is there. Otherwise, it will become apramanya. But at the same time, don't expect the whole explanation to be written down there. That is why a sampradaya with acharya becomes necessary for learning Vedanta. Let us say everything is written down. 50 years, 100 years down the line, that what is written down will have to be explained. Because why? The language has changed. What is current has changed. What is contemporary has changed. Okay. So here, again coming back to this, only Vyatireka example, that's where I took it off from. Starts with a question. Katam punaha avidyavad vishyani iti pratyakshadi pramani shastrani iti chet. This is the basis for all the explanation I said. How do you gain knowledge? Who is the one who gains knowledge? How can you say this? Because then all knowledge will become invalid. Pramata, pramaya, of this sort. And who is gaining the knowledge? And because modification has to be there, another thing comes into the thing which is dismissive of modern Vedanta, that you can't transcend the mind and gain knowledge, spiritual or otherwise. But if you transcend the mind, there is no modification. Then how are you going to gain knowledge? Therefore, having asked this question and all the arguments that I said up to now, backing it up, that's all backing up this first line. Then he says, Uchyate Dehendriyadishu aham mama abhimana heenasya pramatrittatva anupapattau pramana pravartihi anupapattescha. This is a Vyatireka. When the pramata is there, when adhyasa is there, pramata is there, vyavahara is there. Like in waking, and pramata is based on what? Deha is the indriya abhimanaha. Dehe aham buddhi, indriyani mama buddhi. Nobody says, I am eyes, my eyes. Hey, my eyes require some help now. एक जमाने में मेरा आंख क्या था यार. Before the lookout could spot something out and say, I would spot it. अभी तो बूढ़ा हो गया. अभी थोड़ा help चाहिए. Now that I am old, I am bold as the best. Though I can't see the glint of the guns from the glint of the sea. The old sailor song like that, okay? Or skippers like Nelson from Lubbers like me. So, similarly, if there is aham mama buddhi in dehadi, vyavahara is possible. That means adhyasa is there, pramata is there, vyavahara is possible. This abhimana heenasya. Where abhimana heenasya? In your experience, deep sleep, pramata is absent, vyavahara is also absent. In dream there is no pramata. Why? The whole dream is Smriti Rupaha. So the Smriti creates a pramata and prameya. Your samskaras have created pramata prameya there. There is no real pramata or prameya. Therefore, when pramata is there, vyavahara is there. When pramata is not there, vyavahara is not there. Vyatireka example he has given. Vyatireka argument. Because Anvaya is known to everyone. Waking pramata hai? Haan, hai na, I am knower. Haan, vyavahara is also there. Deep sleep mein pramata hai? Nahi. Vyavahara hai? Nahi. Not there. So he gives a Vyatireka example here. Okay? No. Not Vyatireka example, sorry. The Vyatireka argument. Okay? Yeah. Anupati. And he brings the argument for him. Nahi indriyani anupadaya pratyakshadi vyavahara sambhavati. Unless you take your sense organs as you, can there be pratyaksha vyavahara? I cannot see through your eyes. No? You must learn to look at the world through other people's eyes. बोलने में अच्छा है. It all says there should be some empathy and understanding. That's all it means. Literally not possible. No? What is there in your house, I can't see sitting here. I can only see what is there on the screen. Because that is pratyaksha yoga for me. But you can just turn here and there and see whatever is there. No? I can't see through your eyes. So, unless that indriya, nani anupadaya, unless I take the indriyas etc. as mine, there is no vyavahara. In fact, even anumana etc. will not be possible. Adi padat, anumana, upamana etc. is going to, because all the other four pramanas depend upon data from pratyaksham. No? To that extent, even Shabda Pramana is dependent on Pratyaksham. सुनना चाहिए ना. Should be heard, no? Minimum understanding, next step. Okay. So that hearing, so pratyakshadi anupadaya indriyani anupadaya pratyakshadi vyavahara na sambhavati. Okay. Nacha adhisthana mantrena indriyanam vyaparaha sambhati. And where are the indriyas etc. adhishthanam? In the body. Even though indriyas are in the mind, you require a physical counterpart for the, or called golakas, for the indriyas to function. And the golakas are in this body. Therefore, dehe aham buddhi. That's why the Lord's design is perfect, He has put the skin, indriya, all over the body. So that aham buddhi will be complete. Yeah. And you won't try too many stunts. You will try only stunts only up to your nails. Thoda. False nails, attachments, tattooing, hair, you'll cut and design. You won't cut and design your ears. You'll pierce your ears a bit. ज़्यादा उससे ज़्यादा नहीं जाएगा. Some people do. They are the other type. I want to make my ears look like Spock. My face look like a snake. Voldemort. They are further delusions. Those people don't come under the ambit of Vedanta study. So we don't have a problem with that. Okay. Yeah, we're normal people. Not only normal people, थोड़ा अधिकारीस, थोड़ा विवेक वैराग्य है उनके लिए. Okay. Yeah. Therefore he says, okay, nahi adhisthana antarena indriyana vyaparaha sambhavati. Okay. He says, nacha anadhyasta atma abhavena dehadinam kaschid vyapriyate. But the dehadis have an adhishtanam in the atma. Because if that was not there, there will be no vyavahara. Why? Because they'll all be inert. They'll be inert. As I said before, Sachidananda Atma cannot modify it. Mind by itself, mind and body are jada, therefore cannot modify to gain knowledge. Without some modification, there is no knowledge. Therefore, for any knowledge, spiritual or otherwise, you need the modification of mind. Swatantrena. Because, okay, this brings into another point also. Swatantrena kartaha. Kartaha swatantraha. If you have to be taken as a karta, you have to be taken as an independent functionary. That is why if a robber enters a bank, holds a gun at the cashier's head and says, open that safe, he opened it, but the cashier cannot be prosecuted for it. Why? Under the threat of his life he opened it. When a gun is held at your head, it is foolish to think of fighting. Yeah. So, there you are. Swatantraha kartaha. Now, who is the Swatantra karta here? Atma is absolute swatantriyam. But it is nityam, therefore cannot do anything. Mind and body by itself jadam, therefore cannot do anything. There is no swatantriyam. Jadam does not have swatantriyam. By itself, what can it do? No swatantriyam. Therefore, who becomes the karta? samyogena cha avivekena. Adhyasa sambandha between Atma and Anatma. Therefore, without the Atma adhishtanam, there cannot be, he says, na kaschid vyapna. Okay. Adhyasa bhavana dehena kaschid vyapriyate. Therefore, what is pramata? Pramam prati vyaparaha. A transaction with respect to gaining knowledge. Therefore, there is some sort of activity involved. That will not be possible without Atma Adhishtanam. Okay? As possible with Atma. Kastad Vyapari. Okay. Nacha etas asmin sarvasmin sati atmanaha asangasya pramatratvam upapadyate. Therefore, what? For the asanga Atma, there is no pramatratvam. Nitya Sangaha. Even when the Adhyasa is there, it is Nitya Sangaha. Why? Aropitasya gunena doshena va na kaschid dosham. No fault in it is left behind. As I said before, the slimy snake that you saw does not make the rope slimy. Therefore, the Atma is Nitya Sangaha all the time. Even when the Pramata is there. But Pramata is there, Vyavahara is there. Pramata not there, Vyavahara not there. Anvaya Vyatireka proved. Deep sleep, example. Now, expanding that, he says this. Okay? Na pramatratvam upapadyati. And not only that. Pramatratvam is not there without for the Atma. And pramatratvam antarena pramana pravritti asti. There is no pramana pravritti without a pramata. Atma itself is not a pramata. Therefore, the pramata has to be a swatantra karta to gain knowledge, to use the mind and sense organs to gain knowledge. Therefore, who is the pramata? Nacha pramatram antadena pramana pravritti. Tasmad avidya vashdishena iti pratyakshadi pramanani shastrani cha. That means what? The whole thing. The whole thing is based on this adhyasa. Yam adhyasam puraskritya eva sarvai pramana prame vyavahara. Because the pramata is established by adhyasa. In a small book called Atma Bodha by Shankara, he says that very nicely. Atmana sachidam sascha buddhehe vrittiriti dvayam samyoga cha avivekena janami iti pravartate. The sachid, there is Atma, and buddhi vritti. The samyoga, what type of a samyoga? Aviveka samyoga. So is it a samyoga if it is aviveka samyoga? No, it becomes adhyasa alone. Don't say, Swamiji, aviveka sambandha is possible, na? I didn't know this guy was an idiot before I fell in love with the person. That samyoga is different. Here we are talking of Atmanatma. Atmanatma samyoga is there. So there it is not, it can't be said like that. Okay? There is no sambandha in that sense. It can't be said like that. Yeah. Therefore, between buddhi vritti and Atma, the samyoga is pure aviveka, adhyasa. And from that samyoga, the pramata is born. And the pramata is born, you have adhyasa. Therefore, whatever name you are giving it, pramata, ahankara, this, that, etc., the whole thing is adhyasavan purushaha. You can give it any name you want, that's fine. Contextually you will give ahankara when it comes to karma. behavior, etc. Pramata when it comes to knowledge. The same entity you are referring to. Without pramata, there is no ahankara also, isn't there? Because ahankara is a concept of what I am. That means pramata has to be there, thinking has to be there. That means what? All the knowledge that you are gaining in the world is gained by this false entity, the pramata. So should that all that knowledge be false or not false? Should it not be false? From the absolute level, yes. You are saying this is different from this. You are categorizing things, whether it's physics or biology or botany or you are categorizing. Everything is different. And what does Vedanta say? Ekameva advitiyam Brahma. Neha nanasti kinchana. So from that standpoint, it is all false. Because you are taken as reality what is not real. In fact, your definition of reality, especially in science, is faulty. What you can know by your 5 sense organs, what is objectifiable, that's the existential philosopher's definition of reality. That itself is faulty. For us, that's all nama rupa. But it is vyavahara yogya. It is valid for transaction. If you are doubting that and you are staying on the first floor, go on the first floor balcony and jump out. You will know whether gravity is working or not. Why am I saying only first floor? Because you will survive with a broken leg. If it is 4th floor, you may not survive. Though as kids we used to jump out, there used to be the next building construction. Therefore, there was a lot of sand gathered there. So we used to go up to the terrace of my building and jump into that building. All madcap things we are doing, okay, as kids. Even though it's 3 floors, the sand is absorbing our landing. No? I'm talking about 11 years, 10 years, 11 years, that way, okay. Yeah. किसके लिए आदमी है, इसके लिए भाई साधु बन गया. So the idea is this, that vyavahara yogitvam is there. Because you see gravity functioning. Therefore, all knowledge that you have gathered by your pancha pramana is vyavahara yogya. That is why within that you will still have knowledge and error. Isn't it? Knowledge and error. Because some logical connections may not have been there. 3 times I saw the eagle flew over the coconut tree and the coconut fell. So whenever the eagle flies over the coconut tree, the coconut will fall. So science will come and say, now let us do more experimentation. Let us extend it to 100 times. Then you will know it is random, it is not. There is no connection. So now you are saying why? Saying that statistics number is important. You can't make a conclusion by examining 5 patients. 500 patients, then you can come to some conclusion. Yeah, otherwise randomness will come in. So, vyavahara yogitvam is there. And in vyavahara yogitvam, you will have true knowledge, false knowledge. So, when you look at it that way, it looks like we are already always correcting our past mistakes only. Look at medical treatment 100 years back to today. What changes have come in? So all there was wrong treatment. Today you will say that was wrong treatment. But that worked for that time, no? One of the most popular treatments today, in the years to come, will be dismissed as the most horrible thing we ever did to mankind. Chemotherapy. Once the cure is found, not before that. Before that, chemo works, okay, you take it. Sometimes it's worse than the disease, but still it works. As long as it works, take it. If it doesn't work, don't take it, forget it. Yeah. So, Vyavahara Yogitvam. Because Vyavahara Yogitvam is what works and what doesn't work, isn't it? How else will say Vyavahara Yogitvam? When you say this is valid, how else are you saying otherwise? This is because Vyavahara Yogitvam. Under your present conditions of technology and this is working. So, under these conditions, this will work. Under different conditions, it will not work. Newtonian physics works within the ambit of the earth. Outer space, it doesn't work. Faster speeds, it doesn't work. Then Einsteinian physics will come. Then quantum physics will come in. Because very small distance, ulta, you go for very small figures. That means what? Vyavahara Yogitvam is there. Therefore we say it's okay, it's fine, knowledge. There is no error as far as the pramana use was concerned. That's why you will try to isolate the pramata as far as possible. Objectivity. Total objectivity is not possible because observation is also is subjective. That's why at quantum physics level it becomes problematic. But Vyavahara Yogitvam. But from the absolute standpoint, yes, Neha Nanasti Kinchana, there is no plurality, there is only Nama Rupa and their interactions. So a scientist also can be a great Vedantin and hold science as true, Vyavahara, this as true, there. Problem comes when you try to dismiss each other. Bhinna pravrti, bhinna prakarnam, keep that in mind. Like you're dismissing the Purva Mimamsa. We dismiss Purva Mimamsa only for moksha. We don't dismiss Purva Mimamsa for functioning. It's valid, it has its place. I don't believe all that. That doesn't make it less of a pramana. I mean, that's like saying I don't believe in science. So, priests have told me this. We don't accept carbon dating. Because carbon dating proves the fossils, etc., are 50,000 years old. And according to him, the creation is only 3,000 years old. Abhi kya karega? And science is dismissing us when we say Rama was so many years ago. You're dismissing an Occidental religion because it's saying only this much. And you are dismissing an Oriental religion because it is saying so vast. What is this? You are having an arrogance which is not appropriate. You have to examine these things along with keeping Adhyasa in mind. We have no evidence of it. Do you really expect any evidence of a civilization to survive 10,000 years? Especially if it is a live civilization, you keep on using everything, reusing everything, rebuilding everything. What evidence do you expect to survive? Yesterday's news item. Iron Age did not start in Turkey 3,000 years ago, but it started in Tamil Nadu 5,000 years ago. Why? Because they found some iron artifacts which could be dated 5,000 years back. So what do you think? Rama used bow and arrows made of bamboo or what? His sword was made of copper or what? You think only Damascus steel, only that was the best steel in the world? By the way, Damascus steel, swords came from Damascus, the steel came from India. Before that, what was there? Yeah. Hanuman's Gada was made of what? Copper? Or wood? That smashed buildings down. Smashed the trees down. It had to be made of metal, not copper. Minimum iron. Minimum I'm talking about. So, these are all. Oh, that then you will dismiss all that as mythology. That's the problem. Instead of looking at internal evidence, positioning of stars, etc., which is relatable to external evidence for dating, etc. Anyway, I'm digressing. The idea is this, that Vyavahara Yogitvam is one level, absoluteness is another level. But Swamiji, he included Shastra Pramana also under Adhyasa. Correct. The one who learns the Shastra is Adhyasavan Purushaha. Why? If you don't have Adhyasa, why are you studying Vedanta? Problem ही नहीं है, samsara नहीं है. If you don't have samsara, why do you need Vedanta? If you don't have self-ignorance, why do you need Vedanta? Yeah. Therefore, the same problem will be in Vedanta? Yes. If the source of Vedanta is an avidyavan purushaha, but the source is not avidyavan purushaha. Source is Parameshwara himself, free from the avidya, free from the limitations of avidya. And it has to be learned parampara from a teacher who is free from avidya. Only then it really works. That's why you say Sampradaya with Acharya, not only free from avidya, he has to know how to teach also. There's a certain methodology about it. Therefore, even though the Shastra Pramana is used by an Adhyasavan Purushaha, an Avidyavan Purushaha, it still works to remove it because the source is not from avidya. Whereas the source of physics is one with avidya. Therefore, it has to be constantly updated and corrected. Whereas the source of Vedanta is not from an avidyavan Purushaha. So, there will be only developing of new arguments, etc. Why new arguments? Because new Purva Pakshas will come. Why? There is development of thought in the world. If there is development of thought in the world and some of them are challenging our understanding of Vedanta, they have to be answered. So those type of arguments will keep coming up in Vedanta. That's how the Vedanta literature grows. Or there will be more and more contemporary explanation of Vedanta based on the tradition. That's why you have to be contemporary and traditional. Only then it works. Otherwise it will become modern Vedanta. All these arguments are from the mind only. Transcend the mind and you will know the truth. Because then at one shot all arguments are answered. No? This is why they are using it. Because they don't have the intellectual rigor to understand the argument and answer it. All these are. We are talking about what is beyond the mind. Correct? But you are talking about it. No? If you are talking about it, I have to understand it. And if I have to understand it, I have to use this mind. There is no pramata without this. Therefore, if you want spiritual wisdom, also you need to use the pramata. And you should be a sampradaya with to be able to explain it so that I can understand it. He may not know science, that doesn't matter. Yeah. I studied from teachers who had zero knowledge of science. One of them didn't have an idea of time zones. Can you imagine? 50 years back when I studied from him, he did not have an idea of time zones. He asked me, आपके गुरु स्वामी दयानंद जी से बात कर सकते हैं? सर हाँ जी. फोन लगा दीजिए फिर इसको। महाराज जी अभी वो सोता रहेगा, 1 बजे है रात को उधर। अरे इधर तो 12 बजे, उधर कैसे 1 बजे हो सकता है? देन आई हैव टू एक्सप्लेन द टाइम जोन्स टू हिम। अच्छा सही बात है आप। ही अंडरस्टूड इमीडिएटली इवन दो ही हैड नो बैकग्राउंड। 90% to his intellect, 10% to my explanation. Okay, that I could make someone with no idea to understand. So that is fine, but his Vedanta was spot on. My God, knowing that I was studying from him opened doors at the Kumbh Mela for me into scholarly discussions. Just by association. Acha, where Vidwan रहेगा यहाँ. And used to go take part in debate discussions, etc. So, the source has to be free from avidya, and you will always find the difference if you are learning from a scholar or a sampradayavit. A sampradayavit may be a scholar, may not be a scholar. That doesn't matter. You see, the sampradayavit, then he'll explain the shastra properly for you. You will get it. You may be very scholarly, but if you are not a sampradayavit, you will not be able to explain it. And you can make out the difference. I am being able to make out the difference from people who have studied from sampradaya with acharyas or from scholars. How their teachings have got modified. That's why in the beginning I said about where are you going to look for the pramana in what? The explanation doesn't have the pramana. The pramana is explained. Therefore, even though Shastra Pramana comes under Adhyasa, used by an Adhyasavan Purusha, there is no fault there as far as the I is concerned. Some example may be faulty, okay? That can happen. But examples are used from the knowledge of the world, no? So, like in the old text, there is a definition. Saptadvipa Vasundara. Vasundara. The earth has got 7 continents. Hey, only 5, only 5, only 5. Your Shastra is wrong. Abhi things are changing. Under New Zealand, you are finding a new continent. New Zealand is the tip of the continent. It seems to have just sunk. So, geographical facts keep changing. So, that time it may have been Saptadvipa, now it is not. That is one explanation. Another explanation, that was a general belief, which is also fine, because it is not pramana to, Veda is not the pramana to count how many islands are there in the world or how many continents are there in the world. So, there it is okay if the pramana is not talking about it properly. When we studied Vedanta, Drito vai ayuhu, ghee is life. Have a little bit of ghee every day, it is life. That was the time when the American companies were pushing dalda and palm oil. Your ghee is problem. It's all high fat, this, that, you'll have cholesterol, health problems, etc. They dismissed all of that and pushed dalda into it as though dalda is healthy. Now, my God, dalda don't touch it. Palm oil don't touch. Ghee, coconut oil are ideal cooking material. Seed oils are good for cooking. What happened? Science became subservient to an industry. It happens. Very often it happens. That doesn't mean all science is wrong, okay? Just in this case, it became subservient. That's it. It was used because science depends on who is using it. No? Science is an instrument, it's a tool. Like nuclear weapons, it's a tool. Nuclear energy is a tool. How are you going to use it? For destruction, for creation, for the... How you use it is up to you. It's not the scientist's fault for discovering nuclear energy. He can't be blamed for that. Yeah. So similarly here, if even though Shastra Pramanam is being used, since the source of the Shastra Pramana is not Avidyavan Purushaha, that neither is a teacher an Avidyavan Purushaha, then there will be no problems in, even though the Shastra, okay, is for Avidyavan Purushaha, there is no fault in terms of Avidya continuing. Clear up to now? Are any questions? He has elaborately handled this. Okay, I mean, both Bhamati and Nyaya Nirnaya goes quite elaborately on all these things. I have brought in a few of the salient arguments. Okay. All right. Now here comes a question. I can say, let Shankara, assume Shankara was a wise person. But Shankara is writing this. So let us go older. Let us say Vyasa was a wise person. His great-grandfather Vasishtha was a wise person. Okay. They had Vyavahara. In their lives they had Vyavahara. No? Yeah. Vasishtha, a lot of Vyavahara. He was a Rajaguru for the Ishwaku dynasty. For generations, he was a Rajaguru. He had a family. He had a son called Shakti, who had a son called Parashara, who had a son called Vyasa, Krishna Dvipayana. And that also not through marriage, illegitimate child. So all this shows they had Adhyasa, no? You had given an Anvaya Vitareka. No Pramata, no Adhyasa. No Vyavahara. Correct? No Adhyasa, no Vyavahara. Therefore, conversely, these people had Vyavahara, they must have Adhyasa or not? The answer to this, he sums it up in one word, Pashvadibhishya Visheshat. Because they are not different from a cow. A wise person, okay? What do you mean by that? There's an elaborate argument for that. Okay? So, in brief, you can say, Badita Anuvrittya, it continues, even though negated, for functioning purposes continues. Jnana Adhyasavat, flat earth, etc. Okay? But that's very limited example, not enough. Okay? Therefore, he elaborately handles it by showing there is pramana vyapara in a cow and there is pramana vyapara in a wise person also, though they are not, they are at the two ends of the spectrum. Cow means any animal, okay, not necessarily cow, any animal, okay. You can say dog also now, because nowadays you are more familiar with the dog than the cow anyway. People know everything about their pet dog. Cow kya hota hai? So that elaborate argument we will see next time, okay? If I go into that, I'll take at least half an hour more. Yeah. So good place to stop. Happy Republic Day. Okay. All right, a Republic